Welcome back. This is Kaya Redford. I'd like to share with you in this video some amazing aha moments or realizations I had in my life that I know that by sharing these things with you and you realizing some of the same things I've realized, that both of us can succeed and achieve even higher heights in our life. Yes? First experience was when I was in Hacienda Heights, and my mom told me actually Hacienda Heights was or used to be the old Hollywood. It's in California, and it's about, I would say, about 45 minutes drive east of Hollywood. And I was up on a beautiful hill in a house that was surrounded with mostly glass windows. And I'm actually upstairs and I'm reading a book. And as I'm reading this book, and I'm reading the book, and I'm just really sort of in my zone, I'm hearing this little sound, and it's this buzzing sound, and it's coming from over there. It's coming from the windowsill. And usually I don't pay attention to the little sounds. I'm focused on what I'm doing, but there was something unique about the sound. The sound was so loud, and it was coming from a small little insect, coming from a little titchy little fly, and yet I was about 6 to 8 feet away, and I could hear it, and it was drawing my attention away from the book to what was going on the windowsill. And what I noticed was going on the windowsill is there was this fly, and it was literally just bashing on the glass trying to get out, and it's a small little insect. And I heard and felt the frustration. And then what it would do is it would rest. And while it was resting, I would go back to reading my book, and it would just be there on the glass, resting, and I would pay no attention to it, and I would go back to reading my book, not even really thinking about it. And then again, the same thing would happen. A few moments later, I would notice the fly would retreat from the glass window and then right back in and bash and bash and bash. I mean, like bashing its head in. And I was like, what? It kept pulling me away from this book. And I'm noticing this, and that's when I sort of put the book down and I just started to look at this fly, and I said to myself, why doesn't this fly try a different approach? How did it get so locked into the idea that the only way that it can get outside, obviously it's trying to get outside, the only way it can get outside is to literally break the glass. I mean, obviously it doesn't know that it can't break the glass. But I started to ask myself, why is it that it's trying the same thing again and again, expecting a different result? You know, Albert Einstein actually said that's the theory of insanity. Albert Einstein. He said that's the theory of insanity, when someone is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. So I'm looking at the fly and I'm starting to feel a little bad. And what I noticed as I was studying it, I noticed only a few feet away, so over here on this direction, there was the door, which was, led to a sliding glass door which I had left open. So all the fly had to do was actually just turn around, fly this way, and then within 6, 7 seconds, it would actually be outside to the goal that it seeks. And yet, all it was doing here is it was doing the same thing again and again, expecting a different result, and it was burning the last of its remaining life energy and life source trying to do this. And as we know, if you've ever seen flies on a windowsill, they can be doing this for hours and hours and hours and days. And I thought, what logic is there in continuing to do the same thing? And realizing the fly is actually doomed. The fly will actually die there on the windowsill. Now, you've seen flies dead at the windowsill, yes? And there was another direction, there was another possibility. And yet they were so tunnel visioned. Which reminds me, same house, okay? In the same house, what I noticed was, I was upstairs on another day, probably it was about 2 weeks later, and I was home alone, okay? And I heard what sounded like a glass breaking sound from upstairs. And when I heard that, I jumped out of bed, I ran downstairs, and I tried to search for where it seemed like the sound was coming from. And again, most of the downstairs, the living room, the dining area, and the kitchen was all glass windows. And there was a sliding glass door that was, cracked open a little bit. And I'm listening, and it guides the sound of this. It's almost like a clanging sound. This is where like something that's much bigger is making a clanging sound. All right, a little bit like the fly, but on a much louder scale because I could hear it from upstairs. And as it guided me to the kitchen, I'm looking for life in me. I can't see what is creating this noise. And I'm hearing, it seems like it's coming from behind the sofa. So what I ended up doing is I pulled the sofa away, and the most astonishing thing that I've ever seen, I've watched National Discovery and I've seen all kind of creatures and different things on Discovery Channel. I've never, however, seen an actual hummingbird in person, live, right there in my house, in the kitchen. And what it was doing, similar to the fly, is it was flying up and sending its whole body, clang, clang, and even a beak, that sharp beak, the hard substance of the beak, was tapping and clanging and clanging and clanging against the glass window. And then it would drop to the ground, and as I was looking at it, it had not noticed me at that point. It was just freaking out. And I looked at it, and it looked like it might even be injured. It was hard for me to see, but it seemed like its neck was very cocked, and I just felt terrible for it. So I said to myself, okay, well, I got to do something. But I know this is a wild bird, right? I don't know. So what I said, okay, I thought quickly. I went to the area where I could grab a towel in the kitchen and grabbed a little hand towel. I put the hand towel on top of my hand, and my intention was simply, to help this bird to get to its freedom and to kind of scoop it up. What was fascinating is as I got closer and closer, it caught eyes with me, and I caught eyes with it. And there was this moment where it was a really weird thing. It was almost like it was communicating to me and I was communicating to it. And there was that moment like everything else just disappeared. It was just me and the bird. Everything around it sort of drowned out. And it was just those eyeballs and my eyeballs, and we had this moment where we just became like one. And I felt a conversation. By the way, I'm not crazy. I just felt a conversation. It was asking for my help. And I felt this conversation coming to me saying, I trust you. You trust me, I trust you, we trust each other. I felt this, help me and I trust you. And I felt so honored that this trust was there and that I could help this bird. So as I got closer and closer, and as I put my hands down onto the ground with a towel on top of my hands, and I was thinking that I needed to go up to the bird and scoop it up, the most amazing thing happened. The bird, what it did is the bird itself, which was on the ground, it actually jumped up like this onto my hands. And goosebumps. I just goosebumps all over my body. I felt like my hair was standing up on end, and we were just looking deep into each other's eyes, and it was just the most one of the most magical moments I've ever had with nature. And my goal was then to take this bird with me, take it to outside. And I'm going to share with you later, what happens. It's really fascinating, but the main point I want to get to so far right here, right now, is that it trusted and it looked for another opportunity. Back to Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said that the theory of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and again and again, and butting your head on the wall and expecting a different result. He says you can't solve a problem by the level of thinking that created the problem. People, they're so tunnel visioned and they're trying to solve a problem doing the same thing again and again, and yet their solutions to the problem are actually outside of this box. They're up here, they're over here, they're over here, they're over here, they're over here. So the bird, different from the fly, the bird turned around and saw an opportunity and took it. And I was able to take that bird with me outside and help it achieve its freedom. So as I look at both of these experiences, for me, it taught me the doors of possibility surround us. We have to walk through that door. You know, I can teach you everything I know. And at the end of the day, it's you that's going to see that opportunity, that's going to seize the learnings, that's going to walk through that door, that's going to own your self-empowerment, own your success, own your results in your life. I mean, I would love to do it for you if there was a way I could do things for people, but that wouldn't be satisfactory for you, right? You want to feel the love and the pride in yourself that you did it. So I'm going to be your tour guide. And throughout this process, trust the process. And on the other side of this is the freedom you're seeking, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's, you know, freedom in just in your life, abundance, whatever your goals are, it's out there. Together, we will trust the process and we'll get there. Awesome. I'll see you on the next video.